Good morning and afternoon. It's Wednesday, 9 a.m. Pacific. Welcome all to the Sharing Show. I'm Kane and I'm joined today with David, better known as the Workday Sharing Guy, guest co-host Andre, Logan, Teresa, and special guests.
Good morning. Thank you, Kane. Can you please tell us a little bit more about Zoom chat?
Absolutely, Logan. So one of the most important features today with our Zoom chat is make sure that you select all panelists and attendees when you're chatting to anyone else on the show. That way everyone can see it and that way everyone is sharing. So with that said, I think it's now time to kick the show off and over to you guys.
Great, thank you. So I'd like everyone to test your chat. Make sure you change the default, just like Kane said, change it to all panelists and attendees. Sometimes it says chat to everyone. Just make sure everyone can see your responses. So we're gonna check out David's CalcField experiment. If you are familiar with CalcField, you know Excel, put YE. Yes, you're excited about CalcFields, but you don't know Excel, YN. Maybe you know Excel, ME, maybe you don't know Excel, MN. Calc fields? No thanks, I'm already a calc fields guru. You're gonna put CF. And no thanks, not at this time. I don't need calc fields in my life, but maybe later. You're gonna put NT. So go ahead and enter that into the chat. Make sure that you're chatting to everyone. Thank you.
For those who aren't sure about this, the last show was on open enrollment. Kelly, who's on this show, was a co-host. I introduced this new way of learning calc fields. So if you actually accidentally said no thanks or maybe, and you want to change that to a yes, we're going to get that started here in September. This Kahoot was supposed to be practice, but we are going to save the Kahoot till the end. We'll have a quiz Kahoot at the end. A reminder for people, when we do the Kahoot, it'll be kahoot.it. And what you see here on the screen though, let's go ahead and enter the right color. Let me explain what it is. There's a 3-day end of September share-a-thon. It used to be called pre-rising share-a-thon, but there is no rising this year. So it's a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, September 29, September 30, October 1. And the question is, red means you can make all 3 days. Blue means you can make 2 of the 3 days. Yellow means you're available for just 1 day. And green means, unfortunately, you're out that week or you just cannot make it. Okay, I'd like to introduce our guest co-host, Andre from the UK. Hello, Andre.
Hey, David. Thanks for having me on. So my name is Andre. I'm based in the UK, as you might be able to tell from my accent. Right now, I'm sitting in the middle of the English countryside in the pouring rain around 5 p.m. in the day. So I started my Workday journey working for one of Workday's partners as a project manager. And after a few years of that, I then went and joined a client implementation, helping them to understand Workday and get the most out of that. Now, 4 and a bit years on, I'm still working with Workday customers, trying to help them both implement and make the most of their Workday implementations. I focus solely on HCM and have mainly done SME and solution architect roles, specializing in HCM, recruiting, learning, compensation, and talent and performance. And when I'm not doing Workday, I have a part-time job as a motorcycle tour guide. And whenever I've been to Rising, I normally try and tag a few days on and do a bit of exploring on 2 wheels, either before or after the conference.
Andre, I remember when we met in Orlando for the 2nd year in a row, and I think you had said you had just been, I don't know how many hours on your motorcycle. I do know that picture from the far right. Do you want to just say?
Yeah, I flew in a couple of days before to catch up with some friends and rented a motorcycle from Miami and went down to Key West to the southernmost point in the US and to stay for a night and then head back up and then went and caught up with a share-a-thon in Orlando on the Sunday. So yeah, it was a busy start to Rising, but yeah, it was nice to see a part of the world I hadn't been to before.
Thank you, Andre.
Thank you.
We'd like to talk about the themes for the sharing show because September is here. Today, September 2nd, and we are talking about Workday's 2020 R2 release. September 16th, we will be talking about advanced comp. And then September 30th, we will be talking about our customer share-a-thon prizes from the September share-a-thon. Next up, We have David, the sharing guy, with customer sharing movement updates.
Okay, I already gave you a little bit of updates, but know that on community, there's this page here where updates are happening pretty much every week. For example, we are going today till 9:45. You don't want to miss the final Kahoot. So hopefully you saw this. Andre, who is our guest host, has a nice LinkedIn post posted here, a tribute to the customer sharing movement. As I mentioned, Kelly did open enrollment. So for those who are still looking for some open enrollment help, you will see links here to open enrollment share-a-thon and the February ACA share-a-thon also for those focused on benefits. And then finally, there are some videos with future David. You'll see links to all that on that page. This page is something I was just mentioning. It used to be called Pre-Rising Share-a-thon. Well, there is no rising this year at all. So we're changing the name to September 2020 Share-a-thon. That's us 2 years in a row in Chicago and then in Vegas. And that's where I met Andre for the first time. And then in Orlando, we had over 200 people in the room. And then when we saw the post about Rising going remote, I thought this was great. Kiwi the cat thought this is fantastic to have some perfectly polished presentations that we could watch from home in our pajamas. So Rising's a little bit different this year. So we are still, though, going to have presentations. So the idea here is officially now it's being announced those 3 days at the end of September, first day of October. If you have a presentation, perhaps something you actually submitted for Rising, we are going to work that in. You'll see this all on this link is on the Sharing Show webpage for this episode. Quite an involved agenda here. Monday is actually for project readiness for those new to Workday. But then we have the 3-day share-a-thon, a guest keynote on Tuesday at noon Pacific time. And then you also see on the very bottom, Friday is going to be a special day. It's an idea that somebody came up with who's actually a sponsor on this show. Friday will be Workday Olympics. So these are just some of the topics. A lot more, of course, than this will be covered on Friday. That will be October 2nd. Now, there is a Survey Monkey that's been out there for several months, and these are the votes so far. Besides the most common votes for reporting, calc fields, and dashboards, business process, security, recruiting, onboarding, and I'm showing you this, the next round of votes in case you want to consider creating a presentation or leading a group or helping to lead. Each session will be 45 minutes approximately. Those are the topics that are most voted, but the vote will keep going here in September.
That's great. Thanks, David. What do we have up next on our agenda?
Next up, we have Workday Release Tips and Tricks with Denise from Denmark.
Hello, so thank you all for having me here today. So this is just to give you some tips and tricks on how you can prepare for your future releases. And now we're rapidly approaching the production release on 12 September. So first of all, I'll just go through this first page to show you what can you do if you're just getting started right now in preparing for the release. My first tip would be to go to community and find the Workday customer feature release checklist, which is what you see on the right-hand side here, and go through all the checks you see in the red box here. Secondly, make sure you test all your most critical business processes in your preview tenant, as well as your most critical integrations. And then finally, make sure you have reviewed all the automatically available features in the What's New in Workday report. Now, if you have a bit more time in your preparation for the next release in 2021, or if you just want some inspiration on how you could do this differently, here are a bit more on how you can do this. Again, on community, you would want to use the feature release guidebook on there. And here in the picture, you can see the annual wheel, which is Workday's explanation of how this works with the biannual releases. And what you do is in the light blue, which is the deliver of the feature release. This is when you're actually testing the automatically available features. And then in the extend and optimize window, which is after the production release, that's when you make sure you test the setup required features and you make sure you plan those for your roadmap. Another thing you can consider is getting your roles in order. So who does what in a feature release? And at least a role you can consider is having an update manager in your team who is the one who creates the project plans, do the test plans, make sure to communicate to the update team and other stakeholders. And here you see some inspiration for what these project plans could look like. And there are also project plans on community that you can find and adapt to your own needs. Another role that could be critical for you, depending on how you work, is an integrations lead. So do consider having that as well. Here you can see a bit more of roles that you can consider. And of course, this depends very much on the setup that you have in your organization. So apply your own version to this, but for inspiration, it could work this way. So you could have an IT team, which is where the update manager and the integration lead would be part of. They're the ones who are in charge of planning the release. So they need to review and assess all the new features. They need to run the exception audits that you saw on the first slide, test all the new features and test the integration. In this example, we have a global process owner team that is working closely with them. And they are the ones who, for their functional areas, are also reviewing and assessing features, but only in their functional area. They also evaluate all the setup required features against business requirements. And if there's a relevant business case for that, they would add that into the roadmap for prioritization. In this case, we also use IT support to help testing processes and do data validation in the tenant, as well as updating job aids. Subject matter experts finally are invited in for testing local conditions or testing languages or updating local job aids, as an example. For test plans, you would want to test your regression testing in preview to make sure that everything is working the same way as you were expecting it to work when you last ran it in production. And again, here there are several approaches to it. You can go with a simple plan or a more detailed plan, depending on your organization. And there's lots of inspiration to find on community. So just go in there and find something. Communication is a very important part of feature releases. As a minimum, you probably want to communicate that there will be a longer system downtime than normal. And this could be announced directly in Workday or through emails or through IT support. You may also want to communicate about new features or update job aids, communicate directly to HR. And in some cases, you may want to actually communicate directly to employees and managers if the changes are affecting their self-service. Now you see the annual wheel here again on the side, and then in the dark blue area, this is your extend and optimize window, which is after the actual release. This is the time of the year where you'd want to prioritize your roadmap and your backlog of the setup required features. And here, if you're not already using it, you can consider using the Workday adoption planning tool, which is an option if you don't work with another tool for planning. This is a good way of marking the features that you're working with. And there are many ways of doing that. This is an example. That was the brief tips and tricks from me. And if you have any questions, I'll be available in the chat for you as well.
Thank you so much, Denise. What do we have up next on our agenda?
Next up, we've got masked candidate screening and upload external payroll docs. And that is back to Andre, our co-host from the UK.
Andre, I was going to make a joke here about how far you would have to go on your motorcycle if Workday Rising in Europe was happening, where Denise is sitting actually in Denmark.
There's so many new features coming out in 2020 R2, and I know that several of them are going to be covered throughout the rest of this session. So I just picked a couple of really quite small things, but I think that from the clients I've worked with, both of these would be really important for them. So the first one is that there's many businesses at the moment for whom diversity is increasingly important, and they're looking to tools and technology to try and help them manage their diversity or improve it within their organization. So this feature enables you to mask certain bits of information about interview candidates, recruiting candidates at the review, screen and assessment stages to remove any conscious or unconscious bias from the recruiters. So it's something where you have to set it up. The setup is fairly straightforward. And then if you look on the right-hand side of this panel, it will just tell you which data has been masked. Now, I'm sure as many of you know that lots of users are cunning, and if there's another way to find something or do something, they will often try and find that. So unfortunately, by turning this on, while it does help you to mask it for these initial stages of recruiting, it also means that some of the other features are not available while you're using masking. So this includes things like looking at candidates uploaded CVs and resumes. Obviously, because if you're trying to hide that information, you don't want the people involved with recruitment just to go and look it up. It also limits the use of candidate pools, duplicates, and parallel stages for exactly the same reasons. So even though it's very simple to set up, I think it's something that you do need to think through how it fits with your job application business process, and exactly what you need to mask and how best to use it for your organization to deliver the functionality that it provides. And the second feature I'd like to look at is the upload external payroll documents. And again, this is a very simple feature. And to those of you who already upload payslips from an external payroll provider into Workday, it's kind of the same, except that now you can set up several different document types and upload those documents also against a worker's profile. So what I'd seen, particularly in the UK, is that there are some other tax documents that every employee gets every year. And the fact that these couldn't be stored in Workday almost discouraged customers from bringing payslips into Workday, because they knew they'd always have to go to the other system just to get the tax documents. So to have a way to store everything in Workday is a reason to bring the payslips in as well. Just have that single user experience, making sure that employees only have to look in one place to get all of their tax documents. So if you have anything else that you would typically load for an employee and you really want to help to drive adoption, then this might be worth looking at. The integration itself is fairly straightforward. For those of you who already upload payslips, it is exactly the same, just with a few changes to the manifest file. So the payslips or other tax documents are all provided in a zip file, either as PDFs or as images. And then there's an accompanying file which lists out which employee it is, which pay period it relates to, and what the file name is from the zip file. So it doesn't require some knowledge around how to set up the integration, but it's a fairly easy feature to enable and to turn on, and it's something that would give value to your employees very quickly.
Thank you so much. What do we have next on our agenda?
Next on our agenda, we have feature and adoption resource cards with Kelly from Dallas.
Welcome back, Kelly.
Thanks, David. So today, following the theme of our show today, feature release, I wanted to share with you some resources that are available on our website, which is teamuphr.com. And what we've done is put together some what we're calling feature and adoption resource cards. So if you're new to Workday or if you've been doing it a while, you know that every release can be a little bit overwhelming with all the information that Workday provides. I thought the presentation that Denise did was great. So just to tag onto this, some additional resources for you, what we've done is our consultants reviewed all of the features that are coming in the 2020 R2 release and picked out the ones that we felt were most important or of particular interest or things that customers should be aware of and paying attention to. Then put them into what we feel like is a more digestible format. David's pulled up one of the cards on the screen here. So at the top of the card, you'll find the release information, what it is, whether it's opt-in or automatic. So that's very important to know whether it's something that's going to be delivered or if you're going to have to opt into it. The functional area, some community resources, all kind of consolidated in one place for you. A description of the change, and then the target audience. So who really needs to be aware of this? Is this just an HCM customer? Is this available to everybody, etc. So at the bottom in the lighter blue is where we've focused in on digesting for you the uptake complexity. Is this highly complex? Is it not complex at all? And also the impacted modules. Sometimes the feature will be, it's a payroll, but it also has impact to other areas within Workday. So we called that out for you there as well, along with any prerequisites. Obviously, if you the payroll release, then you have to have payroll, etc. And then we put a description of the uptake project just to give you an idea. It's not an exhaustive list, of course, because that's available on Workday. We just kind of gave you a quick description of the uptake project so you can at a glance know, how difficult or easy that is going to be and probably what resources you're going to need. And we've also listed out any assumptions or special considerations that you might need to make when considering uptaking the feature. And then the last box is the level of effort. So is it, low, medium, high, so that you can get an idea of, how much effort you're going to have to expend to implement the feature, and also help you, I think, in a lot of ways, if you're looking at the things that you're going to have to set up, what are your priorities for that particular release? So the level of effort can help you with that as well. Just stopping on this card real quick. This one is the changes related to the coordinating compensation review events. So the Workday is shifting away from the create compensation review participation rule to a different one called maintain compensation review participation rule sets. That's a mouthful. And basically that's going to help you better organize that, that process. And then this particular one, we just wanted to call out where we have highlighted the target audience for the employee flexible payment and deduction options. So this is for, sometimes you might just see payroll and wonder, is that for all payroll customer, Workday payroll customers, or is it just for particular countries? In this particular case, it's US, UK, France, and Canada, which is all of Workday's payroll platform right now. So that's it for me.
Fantastic. Thanks for coming back and seeing us again, Kelly.
Sure thing.
What do we have next on our agenda?
Next, we have the Workday release feature overview for the business, and that's going to be with Tusit from India.
Yep. Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes, I do see it.
Hi. So actually, what before this, what I forget, Kelly was it that presented that we have something similar, and we call it as Spotlight. So what we do is from all the release features that come out, we highlight the ones that we think will be important or will impact our business, right? And then we have this card type template that we use to prepare a deck that we can take to the business and talk to them about it. So it's basically putting the new release features in a digestible manner where the business can understand what it is, and then they can make a decision on whether they want to enable a certain feature or not. So it's similar to what the cards you saw before, but slightly different in a way with the audience that we use it for.
All right, you see, I like this because if you combine the two, looks like the cards are really tailored to those of us who are doing Workday, those of us who are live here on the show and watching the video. And what you've got here is, you know, an idea of a helpful way to help the business know what's coming.
Right.
Yes. Okay. Looks
and
good.
what we realize is that like the screenshot really helps them visualize something. And so we try to put screenshots wherever possible from preview.
Yeah.
That's why you see one in the screenshot as well.
Great. Thank you. Yes, thank you for sharing. What do we have next on our agenda?
Next, we have Discovery Boards with Juliana from Florida.
Hi,
everyone.
Juliana. Welcome back.
Hey, so I just wanted to come on today to remind everyone that Discovery Boards is available to all Workday customers with the upcoming 2020 R2 release. And it provides an easy drag and drop interface for creating graphical representations with a dashboard look. And you can try it out today in your preview tenant. And if you want to see it in action, you can check out my previous share and demo on YouTube.
Thank you, Juliana.
Thanks, Juliana. What do we have next on our agenda?
And next we have People Experience, Journeys, and more with Keith from Florida. Welcome, Keith.
Hey, this is Keith from Florida, and we'll be talking about the new People Experience. And so a couple things, you know, what is it? What does it look like? We're going to go through some slides on this. What does it cost and how do I get started? So let's go ahead and jump in. So this is a slide that I pulled off of Workday. It just kind of gives you an overview of what People Experience is. Sometimes you'll even see it abbreviated PEX, P-E-X. And so there's 3 different components to that. If you look at the sun part there, Workday Today, that's the new homepage. And that is something that is optional at this point, but at some point will no longer be optional. Although they haven't said when that will be. It'll probably, you know, maybe it'll be at least a year from now, I think, with R2 of 2021, but we'll show you some screenshots for that. And then Workday Moments, which we'll focus on a little bit more this today, gets into personalized journeys, and you can create custom cards that link and pull data from external systems into Workday and that kind of stuff. So let's take a look at what it is. So this is what the new homepage looks like. And the nice thing is you can turn this on in your production tenant even now, but I'm not sure everybody has it until you know, a week and a half from now. But this this is actually a screenshot in our production tenant where we've turned it on for one security group. So the nice thing is you can kind of test it out for a smaller group of people and then gradually turn it on for more. The red box here is suggested task. And this is driven by machine learning, and you do have to have signed the Innovation Services Agreement to use the machine learning, which is a free agreement with Workday, but you do have to turn that on or sign that and then turn that on. Then down below, you have, instead of seeing all of the icons at the same time, it's going to show you kind of 4 of the ones you've used most recently. And if you click the View All button, go to the next slide. Then it'll pop up and you'll see all your normal icons that you would normally see today. And so they're still there. It's just you get the most recently used ones and then you drill in for more. So up here, this middle section is now called cards, and you're going to get a number of cards based upon who you are. So if you're a manager, you're going to see a series of cards about your team. And so in this particular case, it was showing that one of this person's team members, it was their birthday, and in the center there to keep track, this is going to be for you personally. So a lot of things that used to go to the inbox will still go to the inbox, but now you may have cards show up as well. I've got several examples on the next slide here. So these are going to be unique to you as a person based upon what's going on in your life. So the first one is maybe you've already, you're assigned some Workday learning training that you have to complete. So this is a reminder that you do that. Next one is you've taken some time off, and so it's reminding you, hey, you're approaching this time off. And the last one is an example of if you're going through an insurance process where you're signing up for life insurance, let's say, and this is reminding you that you still have a final step to do around the evidence of insurability. So it's trying to make the whole process more engaging to the end user to be able to get those tasks done. There's also another set of cards that are at the bottom that these 3 here are the standard Workday ones, and we'll have some functionality that you can actually create custom cards, and that's part of Journeys that we'll look at in a moment. So had lots of people say, what's the difference between a business process, a BP, and a journey? And a BP, all of you I'm sure are familiar with BPs, an onboarding BP, a termination BP is a series of things that from an administrative standpoint, you say, we want the employee to do X, Y, and Z, and we need to do X, Y, and Z on the back end to take them through the process. But it's really designed from the admin standpoint. The journey is really designed from the end user standpoint. So here, one of the examples is a transition to a manager. You can have a journey that says, hey, I have a new manager, so here's some training that you could take, or a link out to a YouTube video, or a link to an article, or so you can define a whole set of process. So on the next page, we've got another example. And sorry, it's a little fuzzy. This set of slides was actually taken from a presentation, so you can go into community. I'll show you where in a moment. But so from our organization standpoint, one of our ways we really want to use it is for Start International Assignment. This is when you're going to go overseas. And so down below the red box, you see the first set of steps preparing for your assignment. You can have multiple groupings of steps, and each of them has a link. And then if you go to the next, you'll see over here, some of these are required. And so the top 2 have a button here, and the person clicks it when they've completed that step, which then gives you as an admin person visibility that somebody actually completed a step. The third one down there does not have a button because it's an optional step. You're just providing them information. And up top, you can see where you're at in the process, because in this particular scenario, there was actually 3 groups of steps that they wanted their people to go through, and you can see where you're at in the process. What's the cost for this? Workday Today is free. It's optional for now. At some point, it will become the new view. And the other thing I didn't highlight that I forgot about is there's some new search functionality that comes along with Workday Today as well. And so there's new functionality for search coming in R2, but in Workday Today, it enhances it even more. From a Workday Help standpoint and a Workday Answers standpoint, both are general availability with R2, but they are both new SKUs that you'll have to purchase. How do you find out more? Easiest thing to do is to go into Workday and go to the home page, go to Cross Application, go to Experience, User Experience, and then you're going to come to this page. If you notice the table of contents, so this table of contents over here, you can see where you can drill in to find out more information about experience, help, journeys, today. And most of these have webinars that are pre-recorded that you can watch that give you a lot more information about how to set it up, how you can use it. And it's a really cool tool that we're really looking forward to taking advantage of. So hope this is helpful.
Keith, a question came up in the chat. Is Workday Journeys part of Workday Today? And from the indentation here, it looks like they're separate on the table of contents, at least.
Yeah, so Workday Today is something that everybody will get access to. Workday Journeys and Workday Help, both of those are separate SKUs that you'll have to purchase.
Okay, thank you, Keith.
Thank you, Keith. And what do we have up next on our agenda?
All right, next I have a story that many of you might know, which is season 2, episode 1, way back when all of our lives were different. We had decided that it's raining Apple Watches in the season. We're giving out 4 Apple Watches during the season. We're not going to tell you when it's going to happen, but we do know that one person won when Workday stock went over 200. Not shown here. It happened in February. Turns out that this person who won on her birthday, she actually won the Kahoot as well. She won the first 2. So for those who aren't familiar with this, Marilyn, being the great sharing fan that she is, decided to gift her second Apple Watch to anyone whose birthday happens the next time Workday goes over 200. And if you haven't been following, let's just say Workday is well over 200. So the winner of Marilyn's Workday 200 Apple Watch is somebody whose birthday, August 26th. We didn't have anyone on the show on that day with an August 26th birthday. But we did have somebody on August 26th. It was her half birthday. So I'd like to introduce to everybody, Amy. So congrats, Amy. Is your microphone working?
Yes, I think it is.
Okay, tell us what we see here in this picture.
So I got my new Apple Watch on and decided that since I won an Apple Watch for my half birthday that I should have a small half birthday celebration. So I decided to have half a donut and have a little half birthday celebration. And I shared the other half of the donut with my kids and we had a lot of fun with it.
All right. I hope you don't blame me for this, but your kids might want to start celebrating half birthdays from here on out. Huh?
They probably do.
Okay. So congrats again, Amy. And thank you, Marilyn. Marilyn, are you on?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Way
what
to go,
do you guys,
Amy.
Yeah, we can hear you. Hi, Amy and Marilyn. So what do you guys talked a little bit about what you have in common. So besides Workday, anything else you guys want to share?
Well, we thought it was interesting that both our birthdays are in February. That was one thing that stood out to me. And of course, we are the same zodiac sign. So maybe there was actually a sign in that winning as well.
I did think there was something fishy there in that picture. Okay. So for those who want to zoom in, you will see that on that particular show, if you attended and you entered your birthday, that was a calendar. Marilyn, anything else you would like to mention before we move on?
Well, we had 2 new foster puppies since the last time when I won the Kahoot, and I had different foster puppies at that time. So this is Huck at the top and Reed at the bottom, and they'll be available for adoption this week. So they are another 2 that we bottle fed, and they're doing really well.
Wow. Okay. Then we didn't. So Amy's Colorado and Marilyn is Canada. Do you want to give people a little bit more of a location in case they're like me and they want to actually gobble up both of those 2?
Sure. These 2 are located in Calgary in Alberta, and the rescue that they're with is the Alberta Animal Rescue Crew, otherwise known as ARCS.
Okay. All right. Congrats, you guys, again. And we move on now, having given away finally 2 of our 4 Apple Watches. That means there's 2 more to go this season.
And I think there may be a road trip ahead for folks who want to adopt those puppies. Now we would like to thank our co-sponsors. First, we'd like to thank Team Up HR for especially the 2020 R2 feature and adoption resource cards. Team Up HR now covers all things Workday. Team Up HR is pleased to provide the download of the 2020 R2 feature and adoption resource cards, and you can visit Team Up HR at teamuphr.com and click on the 2020 R2 menu item to download those cards. You will quickly see why Team Up HR says, making Workday work for you. And next, we'd like to thank GQR. GQR is a global STEM staffing firm with a Workday practice focused on the customer ecosystem. Since their inception over 3 years ago, they've helped over 300 customers with hiring needs across the product and consulting resources for Phase X project needs. If you can think of an area of Workday, they've most likely helped a customer solve an issue or a staffing need within that area. Thank you, GQR.
And I want to also thank Chris from GQR for this fantastic idea of doing Workday Olympics right after the Share-a-thon on October 2nd. So you'll hear more about that soon, probably on LinkedIn, maybe later today.
And we'd also like to thank our co-sponsor, Humanity. Humanity is a Workday certified and approved employee scheduling software. Thanks, Humanity. In addition, we'd like to thank our co-sponsor, GoodTime. GoodTime interview scheduling platform allows you to get the most of Workday recruiting by enabling recruiting teams to provide personalized, exceptional candidate experience at scale, improving hiring decisions, costs, and time to hire. Thanks, GoodTime. Time for our quiz Kahoot.
Okay.
Let's go Kahoot.
It's Kahoot time. No hints about those who, let's just say if you're thinking you're just going to watch, I'm going to say don't just watch this one, participate. Grab your phone, grab any browser, open it up to kahoot.it. Not kahoot.com, kahoot.it. Okay, we got a long pin here. Starts with 5426085. So that's 5426085. Okay, got to do it. 5,426,085. Thank you, Logan, for putting that into the chat. Again, I can't give you much more of a hint than to say you really do want to be playing this Kahoot game today. Several people might be first time trying. We're slowing down a little bit, but we're going to give you, since it's an important Kahoot for 2020 R2, we're going to go ahead and give you another 5 to 10 seconds to log in. I'm really looking for triple digits. 3 more, 2 more. 2 more Kahooters. Okay, come on, 1 more. Kane, this is it. We did it. Kane, we've got 100. Okay, here we go. There's one correct answer. Defining a participation rule set is part of this 2020 R2 feature. Learner experience, employee flexible payment and deduction options, Workday assistant for job changes, or coordinate compensation review events. There's one answer to this. And Kelly actually highlighted it on one of the cards. Looks like about more than half the people got that right. Okay, Priscilla was the fastest, followed by Dan. Not too far behind is Mike. C, I'm not going to say your first name if you didn't want it, and Holly. Okay, second question, we got 6 total. Outside US, flex payment options are available for Canada Payroll, UK Payroll, France Payroll, all of the above. Outside US, flex payment options are available for all of the above. Most people got that right. Priscilla's moving fast. Simons, you're still up here. Mike, Laura, and Nathan, all pretty close. Many questions left. Question 3. What is Workday Today? A Workday Rising morning show, a new Workday homepage, a new Workday help section, all features available today in alphabetized list. Okay, just about everyone knows what Workday Today is, or it was pretty easy to determine based on the other answers. Mike has barely passed by Priscilla, Laura, Gretch, and Dan H. All in the top 5, pretty close. Question 4 out of 6. What is in Workday Journeys? Custom cards and custom journeys. Custom apps to find top 10 music. Workday's new band. New feature to track reporting journey. Well, what is in Workday Journeys? Workday's new band in Workday Journeys, I think almost everyone will get this. So yes, most people got this. Custom cards and custom journeys. Mike's still up top. Laura, Gretch, Lea, and Anthony. All within 140 points of each other. Who was Workday Journeys created for? Subject matter experts, end users, HR and finance admins, or music DJs? Wow, just about everyone's getting all these answers. Keith, we haven't been able to trick anyone yet. Let's see, Mike still up top. Gretch, Laura, Anthony, Priscilla, all within 150 points, under 52 points. Okay, we're on the final question. Here we go. Which one is a free part of your subscription? Workday Journeys, Workday Help, Workday Today. All Workday Future features are free. Which one is free, or are all future features free? Okay, Workday Today is free. Keith was pretty sure to clarify that for everybody. Let's see who is the top winner of today's Apple Watch. And that's the first time I'm letting you know, but it is an Apple Watch day today. I didn't let you know beforehand, but that's our third of 4 Apple Watches we're giving out. Mike B, congratulations. About 43 points ahead of Gretch, ahead of Laura. So congrats to everybody. And we are ready to wrap up here. All right, Kane, give me just a second.
And now we'd like to thank Dovetail. Dovetail has been our big sponsor the whole way. Dovetail provides HR service delivery software that reduces the number of questions into HR by over 50%. Dovetail also provides emergency response management software that provides HR with tools to manage all coronavirus-related questions from employees, along with symptom checking and contact tracing. Dovetail is also tracking COVID-19 case volumes from HR teams globally. To learn more, please visit dovetailsoftware.com. Thank you, Kane, and thank you, Dovetail.
Okay, Kane, is there something you would like to add here on latest from Dovetail?
I think that one of the latest things, and thank you, Logan, and David, one of the latest things on our company homepage, there's a button that will take you to a video of our latest contact tracing and symptom checker video, which is, we're seeing a lot of demand for now. A lot of private companies are starting to do this and roll this out to their employees and get them back to work safer. So that's one to mention, I think.
Okay, Kane, we're ready to wrap up.
Thanks, David. And thank you to our special guest co-host, Andre. Thank you, Logan, Teresa. And of course, special thanks to all the other guests today for sharing on the show. As always, we will publish this episode on our YouTube channel. So please head over, click on the like, click on the subscribe button and the notifications, and you will get notified when the next latest episode should post. And make sure you join us again in a few weeks' time or 2 weeks' time for the next show. All that's left today to say is everybody have a great work day.